23 million people are under a tornado threat right now from Houston to Baton Rouge. And folks, the Storm Prediction Center just upgraded this to a slight risk with strong tornadoes possible tonight. Mrs. Dorothy, a 71-year-old grandmother in Lake Charles, Louisiana, spent the night huddled in her hallway closet 3 years ago as a tornado ripped her roof clean off while she was inside. And she called her daughter this morning shaking, saying this storm feels exactly the same. Miami is basking in 79 degrees of beach weather right now, while Anchorage, Alaska is shivering at 9 degrees with brutal wind chill. That's a 70-degree temperature swing happening across this country as we speak. And here's the kicker that caught everyone off guard. Models are now showing 6 to 10 inches of snow possible from Washington, D.C. to Boston by Monday morning. And let me tell you, that was nowhere in the forecast just 24 hours ago. Mother Nature is sending a very different kind of Valentine this year. Instead of hearts and flowers, she's delivering tornadoes to the south and a surprise snowstorm to the northeast. Talk about a love letter nobody asked for. All right, folks, think of this storm like a 1-2 punch from a heavyweight boxer. The first hit slams severe weather and flooding across the south today, and the second follows up with a surprise snowstorm knockout for the northeast. We're tracking 2 main threats over the next 72 hours, and depending on where you live, you could be dealing with tornadoes, flooding, or a foot of snow, and some unlucky folks might see all 3. Now, before we dive in, drop your city in the comments right now. I genuinely want to know where you're watching from because your real-time reports help the whole community stay safe this Valentine's Day weekend. And stick with me through this entire breakdown, because at the end I've got 3 bold predictions you can screenshot, plus the latest on whether that surprise northeast snow actually happens. So, let me walk you through exactly what's cooking in the atmosphere, because understanding this setup is the key to knowing what's headed your way. We've got an upper-level low that started over the Four Corners region, and it's now barreling eastward, bringing a nasty line of thunderstorms from Texas through Louisiana as we speak. This system has pulled moisture from both the Gulf of Mexico and the East Pacific. We're talking 200 to 300% of normal moisture levels. And in plain English, that means the atmosphere is absolutely loaded with water that has to come down somewhere. Now remember, Mrs. Dorothy in Lake Charles. I mentioned at the top she's 71 years old. And when I say she knows these storms, I mean she lived through one ripping her house apart while she hid in her closet. She told her daughter she's already moved her medicine, her photo albums, and her important papers to the bathroom. That's her safe room. And that's exactly the kind of preparation I need from everyone watching right now. All right, let me give you the severe weather timeline so you know exactly when to pay attention, because today we've got that slight risk. Level 2 out of 5 stretching from Houston through Baton Rouge. This includes Lake Charles, where Mrs. Dorothy lives, plus Alexandria, Beaumont, and all 23 million people in that shaded area are under at least a 5% tornado probability as we speak. Now here's the deal. The biggest concerns today are damaging winds of 55 to 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail, and embedded tornadoes within the line of thunderstorms pushing through this evening. And here's what's really got me concerned about this setup by tonight. We could have what we call discrete supercells forming ahead of the main line. And that's when the tornado threat goes up big time. When you get those standalone supercells with this much spin and moisture in the atmosphere, that's the recipe for strong tornadoes. And the Storm Prediction Center has specifically warned about that possibility. So, here's the question I need you to answer honestly. And I'm not trying to scare you. I just need to know if a tornado warning is issued at 2 a.m. while you're sound asleep. Will your phone actually wake you up? Because here's the hard truth. Overnight severe weather is the deadliest kind. That's when people don't hear the warnings. And February tornadoes catch folks off guard because we're just not thinking about them this time of year. Let me know your emergency plan in the comments. I genuinely want to know you're prepared for what's coming through tonight into tomorrow morning. All right. Let me break down the cities in the severe weather zone, starting with Texas, because that's where the heaviest rain and tornado threat is most immediate today. Houston sitting at 63 degrees with 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain on the way. Flood warnings are already up, and trust me, low-lying roads will be underwater by tonight. If you've got Valentine's dinner reservations in the Galleria or downtown, do yourself a favor and check the radar before you head out, because conditions can flip in minutes, not hours. Dallas at 58 degrees with 1.5 to 3 inches of rain coming down. This is going to be a significant flooding event across the Metroplex, so keep your eyes peeled on those underpasses. San Antonio at 61 degrees with 2 to 3.5 inches expected. The Riverwalk is going to be dealing with heavy rain tonight, so indoor venues are definitely your best bet. Boston at 61 degrees with 1.5 to 2.5 inches. 6th Street will be packed, but storms roll in late afternoon. So time your dinner plans accordingly and have a backup ready. Fort Worth at 57 degrees with cross-country rain bands moving through all day. The whole DFW area is basically going to be one big car wash today. Now I know I'm throwing a lot of Texas cities at you, but here's the bottom line if you're anywhere from Dallas to Houston this weekend. Severe weather and flooding are both very real threats. No sugarcoating it. Shifting gears to Louisiana and the Gulf Coast now. And this is where Mrs. Dorothy lives. This is where the tornado threat is highest for tonight into tomorrow morning. New Orleans at 61 degrees with 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. Jackson Square Jazz will be under umbrellas, but the real action pushes through late tonight, so stay weather aware. Baton Rouge sitting right in the heart of that slight risk zone with heavy rain expected, if you're anywhere near LSU campus. Know where your safe room is before you need it tonight. Lake Charles, where Mrs. Dorothy lives, is directly in that 5% tornado probability zone. And like I said, she's already prepared, bathroom with her essentials. That's the smart play. By tomorrow morning, the severe threat shifts east into Mississippi, Alabama, and eventually Florida, with that line of thunderstorms racing toward the coast. Mobile, Montgomery, Panama City, Tallahassee are all in tomorrow's risk zone, and here's the timing that matters for Florida folks who have weekend plans. The Daytona 500 is happening Sunday afternoon. And wouldn't you know it, by 5 to 6 p.m. that line of storms will literally be racing towards the racetrack before pushing into Orlando. Damaging winds will be the main concern for Central Florida, with a brief tornado risk through about 7 p.m. Sunday. Then the threat drops off significantly after that. Now here's your Florida escape plan. Miami at 79 degrees with the best Valentine's Day weather in the entire country. South Beach Sunset Kiss is absolutely on the agenda down there. Lucky you. Tampa and St. Pete in the low 70s with scattered rain but much lower severe threat. And Orlando at 81 degrees is gorgeous early in the day before those Sunday afternoon storms roll through. All right, now here's where things get really interesting. And honestly, this is the part that's got meteorologists scratching their heads all across the country. While the South deals with tornadoes and flooding, the Northeast is about to get walloped with a snowstorm that wasn't even on the radar 24 hours ago. And I mean that literally. Here's the wild part that's making this so hard to forecast. One computer model shows 6 to 10 inches of snow for New York and Boston, while another shows barely 3 inches. In plain English, that means your Monday morning commute could be completely fine or an absolute disaster. And we honestly won't know for sure until tomorrow's data comes in. Right now, I'm leaning towards the lower end being more realistic. But if the higher scenario pans out, we could easily see 6 to 8 inches in the major cities. This is what we call a high uncertainty forecast, and small changes in storm track mean the difference between a dusting and getting buried. So stay tuned. Let me give you the Northeast city breakdown. Because depending on what happens overnight, your Monday could look completely different than what you're planning right now. The I-95 corridor from Boston down to D.C. is looking at 8 to 16 inches across the board if the heavier scenario verifies, with snow potentially falling at 2 inches per hour at times. New York City at 38 degrees with 8 to 15 inches now in the forecast range. This could be a blizzard emergency along the coast with seriously reduced visibility. And here's the silver lining for you. Romantics out there cozy indoor dinner with a view of the snow falling through the window is honestly one of the most romantic Valentine's experiences you can have. Boston at 36 degrees with 8 to 14 inches expected. Wind chills dropping to minus 16 after the storm passes. So bundle up and embrace the New England winter vibe. Philadelphia at 41 degrees with 10 to 16 inches possible in the higher range. The entire I-95 corridor is going to be a mess if this verifies. Plan for delays. Washington, D.C. at 45 degrees with 9 to 15 inches on the table. The Smithsonian museums are heated and free. That's your indoor romance destination right there. Baltimore at 42 degrees with 10 to 16 inches in the forecast range. Inner Harbor Aquarium date is perfect when there's a potential blizzard raging outside. Now let me cover the Great Lakes and Midwest real quick, because you folks are dealing with the cold side of this system and some serious snow totals. Chicago at 32 degrees with 10 to 16 inches and wind chills pushing -12. Choose that jazz club over any outdoor plans tonight. I'm serious. Minneapolis is getting absolutely hammered with 14 to 20 inches. That's the heaviest snowfall in the entire country right now. Walker Art Center is warm and waiting for you. Milwaukee at 29 degrees with 12 to 18 inches of lake effect snow piling up. Detroit at 31 with 10 to 15 inches. These Great Lakes cities are in the bullseye. Indianapolis, Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, you're all looking at 8 to 13 inches with gusty winds. Museums and indoor attractions are your Valentine's play. Now shifting to the mid-Atlantic and the south, because you're caught in that tricky transition zone between the snow to the north and rain to the south. Charlotte at 44 degrees with 10 to 16 inches of wet, heavy snow possible. This is legitimate blizzard territory for North Carolina. Take it seriously. Raleigh at 47 degrees with 8 to 13 inches. Richmond at 45 with 10 to 16 inches. The entire Virginia and Carolina region could see significant accumulation. Nashville at 47 degrees with 6 to 9 inches of that southern storm snow. Memphis at 49 with a rain and snow mix. Beale Street Blues keeps you warm inside. Atlanta at 56 degrees, sitting right on that rain-snow line. You could see anything from 3 to 6 inches on the north side to just rain downtown. Classic transition zone chaos. All right, now let me show you the escape zones. Because not everyone is dealing with Mother Nature's fury this Valentine's Day weekend, and some of you really lucked out. Phoenix at 66 degrees with nothing but blue skies and sunshine. Desert hike at sunset with your Valentine is the perfect escape from all this chaos elsewhere. Las Vegas at 57 degrees with clear skies and those strip lights glowing. Casino date night while everyone else deals with storms. You're definitely winning this weekend. Tucson and Scottsdale both in the upper 60s with perfect hiking weather. Honolulu at 80 degrees with tropical perfection. If you're there, enjoy paradise for the rest of us. San Diego at 65 degrees with scattered light rain, but overall pleasant. Beach picnic is possible if you time it right between the showers rolling through. Now let me tell you what concerns me most about the next 48 hours, and I want to be straight with you because this is important. The overnight tornado threat tonight across southeast Texas and Louisiana has me genuinely worried, and here's why people just don't hear warnings at 2:34 in the morning. The atmosphere is going to be rotating tonight with all that Gulf moisture feeding in, and when you put those ingredients together, conditions favor spin-up tornadoes in the overnight hours. Mrs. Dorothy in Lake Charles knows this better than anyone. She lived through it 3 years ago when that tornado took her roof while she huddled in her closet, and she's not taking any chances this time. For the Northeast, the model disagreement right now is huge. One shows a major snowstorm while the other shows a minor event, and we're only 48 hours out from finding out who's right. I'll have an update tomorrow with the overnight model runs, but right now, prepare for the possibility of significant snow from D.C. to Boston by Monday morning. Better safe than sorry. And here's something that got buried in all this: 2 more winter storms are brewing for next week, with what meteorologists call an atmospheric river, basically a fire hose of Pacific moisture, hitting the West Coast Tuesday. That energy moves over the Rockies into the northern plains, and by late Tuesday into Wednesday, another large winter storm threat develops across the Midwest and Great Lakes. Denver at 41 degrees with 6 to 10 inches of mountain snow coming. Seattle and Portland both dealing with 2 to 3 inches of steady rain, typical Pacific Northwest, but heavier than usual. San Francisco at 57 degrees with that atmospheric river pushing through. Sacramento at 58 with valley flooding possible, while the Sierra Nevada gets absolutely buried in feet of snow. Now here's what I need you to do based on where you are, because different regions require completely different game plans this weekend. If you're in the tornado risk zone from Texas through Louisiana, have multiple ways to receive warnings tonight, phone alerts turned up loud, weather radio if you've got one, local TV on standby. Know where your safe room is before you need an interior room on the lowest floor. Away from windows, grab a helmet if you have one. Figure all this out now, not when the sirens are blaring. And here's something that could save a life if you've got elderly parents, neighbors, or relatives living alone in the severe weather zone. Pick up the phone and check on them today. A 2-minute phone call right now could make all the difference tonight, and it'll give you peace of mind knowing your loved ones are prepared. Remember Mrs. Dorothy. She's 71 years old, lives alone, and she's already prepared with her essentials in her bathroom safe room. That's the standard I need from everyone in the risk zone. If you're in the northeast snow zone, charge all your devices tonight, stock up on essentials tomorrow morning, and just assume your Monday commute will be affected. All right, here are my 3 bold predictions. Screenshot this right now because you can hold me to these when everything plays out over the next few days. Prediction number 1, we see at least 3 confirmed tornadoes between Houston and Mobile by Sunday morning, with at least 1 occurring overnight when people are sleeping. Prediction number 2, New York City sees at least 8 inches of snow by Monday morning, making this the biggest Valentine's weekend snowstorm the city has seen since 2021. Prediction number 3, I-35 or I-30 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area closes due to flash flooding before Sunday night, with water rescues reported somewhere in the Metroplex. If I'm wrong on any of these, I'll own it right here on this channel. That accountability is exactly how you know you can trust what I'm telling you. So let me bring it all together. We've got 23 million people under tornado threat, a surprise snowstorm that came out of nowhere, and 20 inches of snow burying Minneapolis right now. Remember that 1-2 punch I mentioned at the beginning? Both hits are about to land. Severe weather and snow from the same storm system hitting different parts of the country. And we're all standing somewhere in between. Some getting tornadoes, some getting floods, some getting buried in snow, depending on where you call home. Mother Nature's Valentine this year is definitely not hearts and chocolates. It's a storm that's testing our preparedness from coast to coast. Check on your neighbors, especially the elderly. Share this video with anyone you know in the storm path. And please, stay safe out there this Valentine's Day weekend. I'll have an update first thing tomorrow morning with the latest model runs. Because trust me, folks, this storm just got worse and we're only getting started. Drop your city in the comments one more time. Let me know what you're seeing outside your window, and I'll catch you in the next update. Stay safe out there.